quick is I want this to be interactive. If you guys have a question, raise your hand. All right. If you want to ask a question while I'm talking, raise your hand. Right away. And let's make this an interactive experience and a positive experience and something we can both learn from. That sound like a good idea? Yeah. All right. So 3 years ago, maybe more than now, 2011. Just to give you an idea what the end of my using was like, because I don't know if a lot of people say to me, you don't look like a heroin addict. You don't look like one. I could never even imagine you. People that know me now, I could never even imagine you doing drugs. And at the end of my using, I got in a car accident. Hold on, guys. Sorry. Give me a minute to gather myself here. I'm a little nervous. Trying to think where I should start here. Where do you think I should start? At the beginning? That's what I was thinking. Thanks. Start at the beginning. It's a lot easier that way. So, all right. So, at a very young age, I remember like where I was at age 14, and my mindset as a kid. My mindset was I want to go to high school, I want to play sports, I want to have a girlfriend, I want to have fun. In my mind, I thought it was okay to party. I thought it was okay. I watched movies. Okay, I watched the movie Varsity Blues. You guys probably don't remember any of these, but Can't Hardly Wait. And I would see the people drinking and partying on the weekend, and I thought that was what life was all about. I thought it was all about having fun, and I loved playing sports. Okay, I grew up in a really tight-knit family. Okay, until I was about age 15. Me and my brother, we both played 3 sports. My dad coached us in all those sports. My mom cooked big breakfasts on Sunday mornings. Okay, we went to the movies as a family on Friday nights. We got pizza on Friday nights. I loved where I lived. I loved my environment. My family was a family going in the same direction. All right, I start to come into high school. All right, and I think that when I had my first beer, it was walking home from school. All right. Walking home from school and splitting a beer 3 ways with 2 of my buddies, and I thought it was cool. We went into his fridge, we cracked the beer, split the beer 3 ways, and that was it. And a couple weeks later, I ended up having 2 beers. Okay, and then I remember going to a Little League baseball game with a buzz on. Okay, a Little League playing on the small diamond. Okay, with the buzz on. All right, thinking I was a lot older than I was and thinking that it was cool. And I had no idea it was going to set me on a path to destruction, homelessness, and hopeless addiction. I had no idea that I was beginning to make decisions that were going to affect me. Even though they told me it in health class, I thought it'll never happen to me. So when I got to high school, I remember I started to casually drink on the weekends, And I don't remember, a lot of times you hear say people drink to escape their feelings, people drink, whatever. I just thought that's what it was to be cool. I just thought that was how you had fun. I thought girls were going to like me more. I thought it was just a path to having a good time. I was very closed-minded. If you guys are the types of people that study and, join clubs and play sports and you live right on the weekends, I got a ton of respect for you guys. That's the way to live life in high school, Not getting caught up in drinking, not getting caught up in drugging, because it doesn't lead you to anywhere good. It really doesn't. And when I was a freshman in high school, my father, who I love dearly, who passed away in 2009, relapsed on heroin. And I had no idea that he was even an alcoholic or a drug addict growing up. I looked at him as the best guy in the world. He was there for me all the time. And all of a sudden, my family went from being like this, okay, to completely split up. And I didn't even know what was going on. He hid his problems, okay? So now I'm a 15-year-old kid, okay? And I'm starting to make bad decisions. I'm starting to make one bad decision after another with my choices on how I socialized, okay? And I would come home, all right? I would come home to an environment that was no longer positive. All right. My mother was always angry. All right. My mom was always mad. All right, because she knew what my dad was doing because she had seen my father before I was born and how he was living before he was born. Okay, he had a drug problem and he got sober through most of my childhood. All right. My father goes from being, in my mind, dad of the year, always being there, to non-existent. All right, and I'm starting to go down a path of destruction and. I wasn't comfortable with that going on, all right? Like deep down inside, it really bothered me because I saw my family start to split, and I'm not foolish. I know I can't be the only one in here that has problems going on in their family. It's kind of the age where you get to where you start to realize your parents aren't perfect, all right? Some of you guys might not have that problem, but I'm sure some of you do, you know? None of us are the same, and it really bothered me. And it used to make me angry, and I started to feel like I was a little bit different than other people in some ways. But I wouldn't talk about it. I wouldn't talk about it because I thought if you shared your problems and admitted you were weak or admitted you were emotionally, upset about something, all right, that made you weak. I thought about it was like a tough guy. I need to like pull my chest out and act like nothing bothering me. My family's falling apart. I'm 15, all right, but I need to act like nothing bothers me. And I remember one time, one of my coaches did say, "Hey, is everything all right? Everything all right at home?" And I just kept walking. I didn't ask for help. I didn't reach out. I didn't ask for help. I didn't want to talk about anything. If you are going through something like that, do not be afraid to ask for help. If you've got something going on, all right, that you're ashamed to talk about, there are people that will care about you. There are people that have been through it, and there are people that have answers, all right? You're not alone. None of you are unique. Human beings have problems, and what I've learned through my experience over the last 5 years is that people have been there to help me and guide me through those problems. And as I started to go through high school, right, I started drinking on the weekends, right, maybe once a month, all right? Then I started doing it twice a month, all right? And then by the time I'm a junior in high school, I'm doing it every single weekend, and I'm doing it in excess, okay? I would drink so much. Now, I played sports, all right? I played 3 sports, and I love playing sports, so that kept me out of a lot of trouble, all right? It kept me busy. I was good at it. It was something I was passionate about. I was around positive people, so that ate up a lot of my time, okay? But when I wasn't playing sports, my mindset was I have the right to drink and I should be drinking, all right? And I would go to concerts and I would drink on the weekends, and everything, looking back in hindsight, my social life revolved around alcohol, all right? That is so sickening looking back, all right? To me, it wasn't fun unless alcohol was involved. Or people, like I didn't get into doing any drugs besides alcohol, like I was just a 15-year-old kid drinking. I say that's an insane comment, just a 15-year-old kid drinking. I didn't get into smoking weed or whatever else goes on, or any painkillers, because I identified as an athlete. I said, I'm just drinking. I said, I don't do drugs. I'm not like those people, all right? But everything revolved around that, and there's just so much more to life. When I started doing that stuff, I got very narrow-minded, all right? And my opportunities, instead of like broadening my horizons, my world got pretty small. It was sports and party, all right? And it just kept getting worse and worse and worse, and I kept getting hangover after hangover after hangover. And you know what happened to me a couple times too? Was I got let off the hook, all right? And they call these red flags in the recovery community I'm in now. The red flags that start happening. I got pulled over in high school probably at least twice, totally wasted, all right? Should have been a DUI, and the cop let me go. Completely let me go. Would have been in the newspaper, so-and-so arrested, but I got let off the hook. I dodged a couple bullets. I got arrested trying to buy alcohol with a fake ID. I didn't get arrested. I got caught, and the guy he drove me to my grandmother's house, all right, and let me walk in, and there was no charge press. I had 3 games left in my senior year of football, all right? 3 games left in my senior year of football, and I was basically next to a cruiser going, that's it, I'm getting kicked off the team, and I was a captain in all the sports. And I was an on-the-field captain, all right? I played the game hard. I loved the sports. I was passionate about it, but off the field, I was not a captain. I was not a leader. If you were hanging out with me off the field, I might have had a good personality. I might have been friendly, but my behaviors were not helping anybody, improve their life. And I'm waiting for that cop to decide whether or not, I don't know what's going on. I'm just standing next to the cruiser, and all I can play in my head is I should have listened to my mom. I should have listened to my mom. I should have listened to my mom. You know how many times she said, Derek, you're doing stuff too young. You shouldn't be doing that. What are you doing? You're going to lose every opportunity. What about college? Do you want to do anything in college? What about the sports you love playing? All right? But I just wasn't listening, I just wasn't listening. I was living life my way, and I thought I had all the answers at a young age, and I just didn't. And so I get to college. I wasn't playing sports. I wasn't playing sports, and my drinking kept going. My drinking kept going. And I remember one time, all right, I'm driving down to a club in Rhode Island, all right, and my buddy goes, hey, we got to stop at my friend's place, all right? He goes inside, he comes back out, got a little bag in his pocket, puts it on above the visor, all right, above the visor of his car, and I was like, what's that? You know, what's that? Very subtly, and what's that? Not a big deal. And he's like, Coke. I'm like, all right. And he's like, you want to do something? I'm like, no, I haven't done any of that. In my mind, my dad does drugs. I don't want to fall into that. I'm just going to keep drinking. Then I start thinking about it. All right? And I go, yeah, I'll try some. Then I got the line in front of me, all right? And in my mind, I'm going, don't do it, dude. Don't do it. This is not a good idea. This is not a good idea. And then I'm like, no, just give it a shot. You know, you won't want to keep doing it. Just give it a shot. I end up doing it, right? I started doing that on the weekend. So here's another negative thing that I'm doing, all right? And now the drugs that I'm experimenting with that I was just drinking, now I'm starting to smoke more. I'm starting to smoke weed more. Now I'm dabbling with hard drugs. Now I'm starting to sniff coke on the weekends, right? And if I had more money, all right, I would have been doing it all the time. But I didn't come from a lot of money. And I realized I started to incorporate that into my social life, you know, which is another insane thing. There's no such thing as like socially like doing cocaine. It's and I would do that, and I started doing that, and I would do one line at 9 a.m., and they call it the loser birds, okay? They call them the loser birds, all right? Because it's 5 a.m., okay, and you're still up partying. All the normal people went to sleep, all right? And you ran out of cocaine because it keeps you up, all right? It keeps you up, and all you hear is the sun coming up and the birds chirping, all right? And you're out of drugs, and it's a miserable place to be, all right? I could never use in moderation. All right, and in my mind, I was always going to be able to control what I was doing, and I could never control it. And it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. Any questions so far? This is like 10 years ago, guys, so when I go, it's just hard to remember all the details and stuff like that, but is this helpful so far? Is this making sense? All right. So I end up failing out of college, all right? And when I'm at college, I'll bring my emotions into it again, all right? I'm not playing sports anymore. Sports validated me a lot as a person, all right? Like, my family was split up. I didn't have that as a safety net. I felt very alone. I wasn't playing sports anymore. My self-esteem went from probably mid-range to maybe a little bit above average, all right, to very low. I'm full of a lot of self-pity. Resentment, the word resentment, being angry at people, okay? I had a girlfriend that I cared a lot about that went to the University of Vermont. I was at UMass Dartmouth, all right? I never thought I'd admit this, and looking back at when it was happening, I was so embarrassed. I was practically lovesick, okay? She was up there, couldn't stop thinking about her. She wasn't giving me enough attention. I'm full of self-pity. I'm mad at her that she's not calling me as much as she used to, and I'm not dealing with my emotions again, all right? Angry at my father for leaving my family behind. Not talking about it to a single person. That's normal to have ups and downs and emotions and to be let down. But for me, I wouldn't talk about it, all right? I hated how I felt. This is when I started using to escape, all right? I was drinking more and more, and I hated how I felt. I wasn't playing sports, and I just thought life was getting very boring, you know, and life wasn't treating me fairly. And it wasn't a fun place to be anymore. You know, as a kid, I would look forward to life all the time. And through my life circumstances, and not knowing how to deal with things, okay, in a healthy way, okay, which I can do today, I started to reach the substances that made me feel different and made me feel better. And that was the biggest lie I ever believed, because they weren't. They made me feel better at the beginning, but you keep doing them and they don't make you feel better. They just add to the problems. You know, they just add to the problems and the chaos. So I failed out of college, all right? I probably went to 10% of my classes when I was there. I probably took one test when I wasn't drunk, all right? And then I moved back home, all right? And now at this time, my father's still doing drugs. My parents are split. They lost their house. My mom moved in with her sister. It's just complete chaos, all right? Complete chaos. And I started coaching football. I started coaching high school football. I went back to what was comfortable. And I started commuting to Bridgewater State. And I did well for a little while. I started working out again. I started going to the gym. Okay, I was coaching. I had a lot of fun doing it. And it was something I was passionate about. I started getting good grades, all right? And my drinking actually quieted down for a little bit, all right? And I started to feel some direction again. I started to feel some excitement where I was going, all right? Now, I have a younger brother, too, that is in rehab in California right now. He got into doing painkillers or opiates, which is what I was here to talk about. He got into doing painkillers, opiates, and heroin, okay? Before me. And my father was an active heroin addict, okay? And my father really, this is all I would see in my dad, okay? I was coaching football, study, and I'd be at the dinner table writing down. My dad would come in, he looked like a zombie, okay? And hey, what's up? Nothing. He'd go up to his room. He would just hide in his addiction. He'd work construction during the day and go hide in his addiction. I'm like, hey, this is great, you know? My brother's starting to hang out with kids I know he shouldn't be hanging out with. Now, I was no angel, okay? Believe me, I was no angel, but my brother starts surrounding himself with people that he shouldn't be with. And he starts doing pills like OxyContin, okay? Percocet, Vicodin, all right? They're in the opiate family. They are the same thing as heroin. The only difference between that is you buy heroin on a street corner or from a drug dealer, a real-life drug dealer, and you buy OxyContin, Percocet. They come from a prescription pad in a doctor's office. The environments you get them in are different, but what they do to you, okay, in a physical, and what they do to how you think and how you feel, it's the same exact thing. All right, there's no difference. He started doing those things. And I stayed away from him for the first 6 months, okay? And then there's a saying that goes around, if you hang around